greetings for Nanobyte Squad, and thank you very much for Melissa and Billy Gamaliel here with you all, the Nanobyte Squad. My name is Musa. I'm one of the part of the Nanobyte teams, and today that we will have basically the session is conducted in English. So because we get to attend this, basically we can call it all of the expertise. All of the expert in the crypto world. So basically, we should conduct this in English. Okay, let's start with our first guest speakers. Please welcome Mr. Charles DeHousey. Hello, Mr. Charles. He is the Managing Director for Asia Pacific for ConsenSys. I think for those who all of you knows about ConsenSys. ConsenSys is about the leading blockchain engineers company, and his responsibilities, Mr. Charles, he's to leading several ConsenSys projects like CBDCs. Wow, with the Hong Kong and Hong Kong Authority, and then Bank of Thailand, and then of course, Mr. Charles has the 15 years experience, and Mr. Charles has been elected as top 50 fintech influencers in Asia. And he published a book called Block-Hong. And we all know that. And the next one is the Miss Diane Lestari. She is graduated from Paris Sorbonne University in France with the major of political science. And of course, the passionate to brand build and have a deep interest with blockchain. So now he is the business development for Alpaca Finance. Well, we will talk more about her approach in the crypto. And the last one is Miss Veronica Wong. She is the CEO of SafePal, a cryptocurrency wallet serving up to 5 million users across the globe. And of course, she has the in-depth experience in the customer-facing solution and mass product adoption. And of course, this session will be conducted in English. And okay, let's start our Q&A and this panel session. Hello, Mr. Charles. Hello, Miss Diane. And hello, Miss Veronica Wong.
Very nice to be here tonight, Yusuf. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Hello, Miss Diane.
Everyone, good to be here. Thank you for having me today. Nice to see you.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Veronica. Hello, Miss Diane.
Hi, can you hear me clear?
Yeah, okay, you're good. Very nice. Thank you. Okay, let's start the question for, basically for all of the panelists. Let's start with the question. Our first question is about how long have you been in the crypto world? And well, how was the crypto world now and before your life you joined to the crypto world? I think you can start the first to answer for Miss Veronica.
I started my crypto journey back in 2018 when I founded SafePal in early 2018. So SafePal is actually my first crypto project, and it's been doing pretty well in the last 4 years. Back when I joined in the crypto space 4 years ago, there was no NFT, no DeFi. Back then, cryptocurrency is a pure speculative tool for secondary market investors, and there were not that much of applications built on the blockchain. So back then, Bitcoin wasn't the legal tender of El Salvador, and we didn't see a lot of pressure from regulation and compliance. And it's pretty in the infancy. But things are pretty different at this current stage, because nowadays we are seeing more applications of the blockchain and cryptocurrencies in global wide, in finance, in infrastructure, and also in like bringing some new concepts like NFT and DeFi. These concepts have been super popular since 2 years ago, and now people are building metaverse. So there are a lot of things happening nowadays which have made dramatic changes compared to 4 years ago. So it is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Miss Veronica. And how about Miss Diane?
Well, for me, it was actually during the earlier time of COVID-19 outbreak. So it was in 2020. I've always have a very high volume of work and didn't have a really time to look at anything outside of my industry. So when most of the country went into lockdown, I had a lot of spare time and thought, why not learning something new? So I researched about it, and here I'm working in a cryptocurrency. So actually, DeFi was the first major sector validating crypto use case, which started this recent bull run. And DeFi currently was experiencing tremendous growth. We had 700 million total value locked in DeFi in January 2020, and now we have over 70 billion. So we've seen most major DeFi projects have significant and stable revenue stream with huge upside that have clear advantage over the much larger and mainstream financial industry. So now DeFi is like a sector of industry within crypto that lock tremendous value, like $1 billion worth of value that is locked in it.
Yeah, well, very nice. Thank you very much, Ms. Dian. And how about you, Mr. Charles? What's your journey in the crypto before and after this one?
Thank you so much, Yusuf, for having me tonight. So I started my crypto journey in 2011 when I discovered a Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer money kind of play. And then I kind of started my journey into this rabbit hole of crypto, understanding how decentralized systems and blockchain could be creating more value. I kind of took a pause after 2011, discovering Bitcoin and thinking, okay, how can I kind of build on it? And I came back into the ecosystem in 2016 with the birth of Ethereum and the smart contract concept. So I am with Consensus for the past 3 years now, leading all the activities here in Asia Pacific, and helping projects like MetaMask. I'm sure many people in the audience are using MetaMask today. So MetaMask is a product of Consensus, and helping also many other developers and app developers and technologists, as well as central banks to grow and build their practice on blockchain. So it's a very interesting journey. It's a mix of technology progress as well as society's kind of enablement. So it has been a very rewarding journey so far.
Yes, very nice. Well, next question is for Mr. Charles. How was the development of DeFi from blockchain technology that supports crypto?
Sure. So essentially, crypto and if you look at the history of crypto, you've got Bitcoin, which was enabling peer-to-peer payment. So it was a very basic part of finance, like being able to pay someone in a peer-to-peer manner. And then we've seen over the years the infrastructure of decentralized finance growing up and getting more and more use cases and tractions, which was really interesting and inspiring. Lately at Consensus, we've been working with a lot of central banks and helping those central banks to build what we call central bank digital currencies. So essentially, it's money issued by central banks on blockchain rails. So we've been working with the central banks in Australia, in Singapore, in Thailand, in Hong Kong, and many other countries, and helping them to capture the value proposition of blockchain, building the blockchain infrastructure, and enabling their ecosystems.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Charles. Well, the next question about for Ms. Dian. How DeFi changes the market and financial system?
Yeah, sure. So with DeFi, what became a reality was a plethora of opportunity to bring about a transparent financial system. DeFi projects are tackling long-standing problems and addressing inefficiency in our current system, such as improving financial inclusion, increasing liquidity, and reducing costs. So DeFi can offer services such as lending, borrowing, yield farming, and crypto lending. So it has literally reinventing global finance. The trustless, transparent, immutable nature of blockchain, combined with their capacity to be programmed to trigger functionality based on a set of predefined conditions, are very ideal for DeFi. At the protocol level, this enhanced security and reduce the cost of doing business, offering much more efficient financial infrastructure. So there is another advantage, which is financial inclusion. Many take their ability to access traditional financial service for granted, but this remains a huge problem. So according to Global Findex database, there are 1.7 billion people lack of access to basic financial services. So in essence, DeFi emulates mainstream finance, but with a major point of difference. It is not controlled by a governing authority. So right now we are seeing a parallel financial ecosystem emerge with no dependency on the legacy banking system. It is a key feature that a few appreciated until the recently unfolded crisis. The entire financial infrastructure stack is being built from the ground up, with such financial primitives such as a decentralized stablecoin, AMM, priceless synthetic asset, reflexive bond, to name a few.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Dian. Well, let's for Miss Veronica, let's talk about a little bit related to the SafePal wallet and of course the security. What are the security measures that you have for SafePal that make sure, the asset is stored safe and secure in the wallet? I think you are on mute, Miss.
Yeah, thank you. SafePal actually provides two different kinds of wallets. We started in 2018 as a hardware wallet. SafePal S1 is our first flagship hardware wallet that provides advanced technology for people to store their private keys in an offline manner while still keeping the user experience simplified and easy to use. So take the hardware wallet as an example. So on the hardware wallet hardware architect, the device is actually built with two chipsets. One chipset for operational logic of the device, for example, keeping the screen on and turn off the settings and turn off the light saving settings, etc. So it's for operational logic. And there's another EAL5 Plus chipset, which has been widely adopted in the financial industry to provide the private key itself. So it's a dual chipset architect to separate the operational logic from the crypto signing process. And in the device, it's embedded with multiple sensors. So with light sensors, radio frequency sensors, voltage sensor, etc., to protect the device from brutal hacking. And most importantly, we adopted air gap signing mechanism. So that means when you sign off every transaction out of the wallet, you are actually scanning encrypted QR codes between the app and the device. So it's totally air gap. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no Bluetooth, there's no NFC, there's no radio frequencies intersecting the whole process. So this way we can keep the private key 100% offline, isolated, and while keeping it easy to use for normal users. So this is only on hardware layer. As on the software layer, like we have even more details embedded. Like we have supply chain security boost. So whenever segment or whichever procedure that an attacker tries to intercept and tries to alter the code base or the firmware, the device will not be able to start or boost it normally. And we support firmware upgrades, so people cannot downgrade for a downgrade attack. We have firmware verification throughout the whole process. So from my point of view, security is a mentality that we have to bear throughout the product building process. So actually, the whole team is very cautious about protecting user privacy and information as well. So when we make a lot of internal decisions, we will take the information security of the user into consideration. So for example, we don't really do email marketing because we have a trust issue of all those EDM service providers. And we don't store users' purchase information for more than a year. Like every 6 months, we will delete whatever information of the user's orders. So details like this, actually, they are embedded in a very lower level. So it's not just building a secure product, it's also building a secure flow to make sure that at the first moment that the user use our product or order our product, their privacy and information is well protected, and including the private key security. So now SafePal has been serving users from close to 200 countries global-wide, and we have very large and active communities on Twitter and Discord as well, and it's still growing. So I guess that kind of proves like how we are doing in the last 4 years. So thank you for asking.
Yes, Thank you very much, Ms. Veronica. Well, okay. For the next question, I would like to ask for Mr. Charles. Well, basically, we all know that now the term CeFi and DeFi it's on the run. And for Mr. Charles especially, what are the advantage and the advantage of CeFi and DeFi? Like, are they kind of make some friends and or just doing some fool or like apart each other, something like that? How about your opinion for that, Mr. Charles?
Thank you so much for Yusuf for this good question. It's so CeFi and DeFi. Let's get into the definition again. So CeFi stands for centralized finance. So when you use a centralized crypto exchange or digital asset exchange is what we call CeFi. And you have also the opportunity to use some kind of DeFi, decentralized finance infrastructure or services. So they are different in a way that behind a CeFi infrastructure, there is a company, there is a centralized database, and they offer you a service which is really aligned with this kind of infrastructure behind the company. And when you talk to, and when you start to interact with DeFi protocols, for example, Uniswap, you will start to interact with a protocol. So it's a suite of software which will allow you to connect you peer-to-peer with different players. So there is advantages in DeFi since DeFi is more decentralized. So you've got like more transparency and you've got more facility and ease of use. At the moment, DeFi does not necessarily require KYC, for example. But there is also a downside of DeFi. DeFi is, for some type of asset, will have a limited trading pool and liquidity access, whereas CeFi will enables you to essentially connect to a centralized service, get your name and your KYC, know your customers process going through, and get access to a centralized order book. So you will be able to essentially trade maybe possibly more efficiently. So I think there is a different universe of assets which are being created by the blockchain ecosystems in general right now, and some of them will be sitting more efficiently on CeFi, and some others will be sitting more efficiently on decentralized finance. So we want to be really still very much open to both systems and thinking how they can evolve each one with another, and thinking also of the regulations coming our way to make sure that we keep the users and the issuers in a safe environment.
Yes. Thank you very much for Mr. Charles. And well, still about DeFi and CeFi. Now, question for Ms. Dian. In your opinion, like which of the CeFi and DeFi like most trustable? Like in your opinion?
Yeah, so each has their own edge. The question is whether users should trust technology or people. So CeFi has the advantage of flexibility of fiat conversion. Onboarding customer in the centralized finance ecosystem is quite convenient and can offer a better customer experience, as CeFi exchange provide customer support that DeFi services do not offer. On the other side, DeFi wants to make the space intrusion-free. So it provides a space for investors to implement their strategy without having to deal with an intermediary. So DeFi aims to build an open source, permissionless, and transparent financial service ecosystem. Users do not require permission to use DeFi. With CeFi, users need to complete a KYC process to access services, which means they have to share their personal information. The benefit of using DeFi over CeFi is that you have a full control over your assets. And also DeFi is trustless. The most significant benefit of using DeFi is that you don't need to trust that the service will perform as promoted. User can authenticate that the DeFi services perform as intended by auditing the code and using external tools such as the Etherscan to identify if a transaction was correctly executed. Both of the models have their pros and cons. It depends on the investor and their needs. With DeFi, users trust the technology will perform as proposed. And on the other hand, with CeFi, users trust the business people to manage funds and execute the service.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dian. Well, related to the CeFi and DeFi, I think it's about the, what we call it, I think, can we call the preferences for several people, I think. And this question is for Ms. Veronica. Is it kind of, several people, like certain people is only fit like, yeah, I prefer with CeFi or I prefer with DeFi, something like that. Or how the people like to, what do you call it, to using one of the CeFi or DeFi system, or they just use anything. What about your opinion for that, Ms. Veronica?
At the current stage, certainly the user profile of CeFi and DeFi are totally different based on our own experiences. So CeFi has a higher learning curve, and it's more difficult to adopt. So it's not really, at the current stage, the user experience of DeFi is not really for crypto beginners or non-crypto background users. So if we talk about like companies like Coinbase and Crypto.com throwing millions of dollars in the Super Bowl ads, so the audience that they are attracting aren't potentially DeFi users. They will mostly go to CeFi in the first stage, and then the users will be falling into different tiers. Some of them will grow faster and learn faster and adopt the DeFi concept in keeping their private keys and managing their own crypto process. Crypto assets, and those users will later on fall into DeFi tiers. So I think it's a kind of a pyramid here. So the bigger mass of the user layer would be like more familiar with CeFi. They are more familiar with registration and creating an account using email or phone number. And certain percentage of the users will later on notice the disadvantage of CeFi and switch to DeFi and gradually pick up the knowledge gap from there. But in the long term, I think there won't be any clear, distinguish between the two users, because nowadays we are seeing products and applications in the crypto space trying to narrow down the knowledge gap between CeFi and DeFi. So we are seeing some of the applications, including SayPal here, are trying to eliminate the knowledge gap required to own a decentralized wallet. So for example, when you firstly download the SayPal app and created a wallet, you don't really need to go through the whole process of backup knowledge, backup mnemonic phrase. You can do that later on, and there will be thorough guidance and introductions about what that really means and what you have to do with them. So there are a lot of products trying to narrow down the knowledge gap there, and on with the evolution of the blockchain technology. The blockchain will become a deeper layer of infrastructure, while there will be new technology of how we keep the private keys secure. So in the long term, users don't really need to understand the complex concept about like private keys, and they don't have to keep a super long address, which is impossible to remember. And there are gonna be a lot of other applications built on top of that to narrow down the gap and to improve the user experience. So in the long term, I think like DeFi and CeFi, there won't be any clear gaps between them, and users should be able to use it without knowing that it's actually built on top of blockchain. So it's but in short term, currently, obviously, the user profile of CeFi and DeFi would be totally different, because this is how we see it from our wallet as well. So it really depends on how fast the blockchain technology and also the applications built on top of it evolve over the time.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Veronica. I have a quite interesting question related to the for Mr. Charles, related to the absence of regulator that sparks. We all know that several security concerns among the investor, and how has the security system has been improved? Like in your opinion, has been improved like along this year, related to the security system and concerns have this kind of security, I think, have been a concern for the investor. How about that, Mr. Charles?
I think the regulators are paying more attention now to the world of DeFi and NFTs and stablecoin in general. So we need to give them a little bit more time to give us clarity. In the meantime, I can only advise everyone to be very cautious and experience this world of decentralized finance and metaverse and NFT in a very careful manner. Don't go too fast and too big in this world. Just give it some time for you to learn and for this industry to mature. But the regulators certainly have their eyes on it for good reasons, and I think we need to support regulators. They are usually supportive. They are usually very well educated about the blockchain system in general, and they want to support their initial mission, which is protecting the investors. And it's true that into this kind of very experimenting world, there is a lot of things happening, and regulators have their say and their mission. And we certainly support them to keep protecting the investors, but making sure also that they don't block innovation. So we are always proponents of very close conversations and very close exchange of ideas and information about the market to make sure that the market remains safe for everyone to interact with without blocking anyways the innovation of the startups and the innovators of this world.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Charles. Well, let's move to our last part of the session. Well, basically for all of the panelists, and how about your looks or your opinion about the global crypto outlook on this 2022 year of 2022? I think start from Ms. Dian.
Okay, so the global outlook for 2022, I think crypto industry is an industry where a lot of attention is given to price and price movement. So, for us as a DeFi protocol, understanding the growth of developer is really understanding a way of fundamental growth in the ecosystem. And fundamental growth separate from how the market is doing, because if you think about it, you need developer to build things, for there to be user, for there to be usage, and for there to be transaction. So everything is kind of flow from developer that are building the application, the developer who are working on the core protocols, the developer who are securing network. So, at its core, I think that is one of the most important signal you can look at to understand the future value of the ecosystem. So one of the interesting thing that I read from the report is that we see a huge influx of developer, the price is bullish, but we don't see a huge exodus of developer when the price is bearish. So this likely signifies that developers are staying and building even though the bear market is there. Last year in December 2021, we've seen a developer come into the space, and there have been more than 30,000 developers. These are new developers who had never touched any of crypto-related code repository. That is incredible, and that is the highest number we have ever seen in the history. And crypto at this point has been around for more than 10 years. So we have never seen such a high monthly active, and we have never seen so many new developers entering this space. And it's also interesting to see how developer and price interacted last time. So even though price peaked in 2018, developer grew for another year afterwards. So, and that is really, frankly, encouraging. So even though we are sitting at all-time high last year, and if we are actually like the last cycle, we are actually going to see a lot of new developer coming this year and all the way to 2023. So I'm very excited to see many new development coming, more use case to be built, and more disruption toward financial system.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for your outlook. And what about Miss Veronica? What about your view about this crypto in 2022?
Yes, I think in 2022 there will be more NFT projects on the way, because recently we have been reached out to by a lot of new crypto projects, and some of them are really at really early stage. And it's interesting that I totally agree with Diane, what Diane just mentioned. We have also seen a lot of new technical teams who don't or didn't have crypto backgrounds trying to enter this space and bring a whole brand new product experience to the audience in GameFi and in NFT. So this is a really exciting trend. And on the other side, we also feel higher and higher tension of a global compliance structure because the regulators are pushing harder on the crypto and blockchain industry. And we are seeing countries like Canada, like US, like France, they are launching new structure to regulate the whole blockchain industry. So this is partially a good news because it means that blockchain is officially recognized by the regions in a global range, and it's gonna be regulated and also be going to step onto a global stage where it's gonna be exposed to a massive audience in a much wider range. So it's partially a good news. So in the long term, for this year and next year, I'm super optimistic about the trends, about the crypto adoption, and also the application layer building process. So yeah, let's look forward to that and stay tuned.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Veronica. And the last sentence, your view for Ms. Charles related to your outlook for crypto 2022. Please, Mr. Charles, how about that?
Thank you, Mr. Yusuf. Really, really optimistic. A lot of things are happening in the world of crypto. New regulations are coming up. DeFi is getting probably regulated. Central bank digital currencies are progressing in a very fast way. NFTs have been exploding and really getting a lot of traction. We start to see GameFi, like game and video game finance popping up. So it's really going very, very fast. And it's very encouraging. And what it says is that before our eyes, we are seeing the internet Web 3, as a new generation of internet being built. So I really invite everyone to be part of this new internet. We are all familiar with the old internet, the Web 2 with social media and various services, and there is a new internet coming up. So please come with us, experiment. Maybe your journey starts with MetaMask, which is one of the most popular Web3 wallet and gateway. And we are all very, very, very excited and bullish about this new internet building before our eyes.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles. And of course, thank you very much for all of the guest speakers today, for all the panelists. Well, basically, to wrap up this session, let's take electronic picture. Let's take the picture of our session. And 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much for all of the panelists. Appreciate that you have spent time with us. Thank you very much I hope that you stay safe and have a good day. Thank you very much. Have a nice day for all.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.